Hey guys, welcome to Repeat Offender, episode number 2. And I'm obviously bringing the value. I wore my Kirkland signature sweater, so I'm bringing the real value. I'm just playing. But by the last clip you guys just saw, that was the guitarist's guitarist, and that is Shawn Lane. And this week I'm so excited that the song that we're going to be talking about, that I'm a repeat offender of, is going to be Get You Back from his original debut album, Powers of 10. And this song, it just hits me in so many ways that I feel no other song can. Get You Back is a song that came out during the early 90s. I believe the original printing of this particular album, Powers of 10, came out in 1992, if I'm correct. And if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. But Shawn Lane was a very special guitar player because he was a multi-instrumentalist and just not just any normal type of guitar player. Phenomenal. If we want to talk about speed, the guy had it. If we want to talk about being hyper melodic, and we're not talking about just playing some lines, we're talking about somebody whose themes interwove with the piano parts, which he was an incredible piano player. But all these things interwove into a way that I kind of consider like that very 90s guitar sound. There was Andy Timmons, there was Shawn Lane, and there was these other guitarists at the time that had this ultra melodic sensibility, but at the same time the songwriting was emotional and almost ballad-like. I don't know if many of you guys have noticed this about yourself, but when you pick up an album, are you a slow song person or are you a fast song person? You ever think about that? And I've always gravitated towards more of the slow songs when I listen to an album. One of the first things I notice is the ballad or the breakup song, things like that. And I don't know why, maybe because my childhood, I was kind of more of an emotional kid, so I kind of just connected with those sounds. And this song, Get You Back by Shawn Lane, is no different. And it's been one of the songs that I've listened to for years, especially since about 2017. I've been pretty obsessed with this song. And the one I'm going to be playing today is going to be the alternate version. There's 2 versions that were on the album, and one is kind of like almost a more muted kind of guitar tone, and it was really like the guitar almost took kind of a backseat to the overall composition. And then there was another version where the guitar was a little more cutting and forward, and that's the one that we're going to be listening to today. And again, I'm going to use the song as a guide, but I want to really just take you through the journey of hearing Get You Back and why it's one of my favorite all-time guitar instrumentals. And I get so many comments, and not that I take it as like, oh yeah, I'm really doing that, but that I sound like Shawn Lane, or that there's a Shawn Lane type of vibe to the music that I write. And I really believe it's because I've listened to this song so many times that just that energy is in a lot of the pieces that I have. It's about putting the melody first, and it's about kind of the sensibilities that were just there in 90s rock. So yeah, let's take a listen to this song because this is one of my favorites. The guitar tone is phenomenal. The playing is phenomenal. Let's go there. Already right off the top. How good is that? Yeah. Listen to those double stops. They're so good. Just stopping there real quick, just hearing that first, verse of the song, so to speak. What it kind of reminds me of is when you would turn on the news, and if you're a person my age, you would totally get it. You'd turn on the news, and there would always be this guitar part that was this very 90s guitar instrumental thing, and you'd always kind of be like, oh, what's the weather gonna be? The news would always have this kind of intro, and to me it's nostalgic. It reminds me of being a kid. But not only that, the tonality that he's choosing to use here and the restraint that he's using for how good of a player he is incredible. And just there's something about that guitar sound too. It's got a delay on it. It's smooth yet it's cutting. Let's keep going. Ooh. That first chorus, just right there. Doom dum 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 dum. So good. And like the piano that's under it really is just as good as the guitar. And when I'm listening to this song, one of the things I always think about is like the choruses build up. So as you progressively listen to the choruses throughout the song, it's almost like they're kind of getting like you can feel the energy picking up every time. And this being Shawn Lane's first solo album, it just trips me out because, I mean, this album's at least, 34 years old, 33 years old. I'm listening to this on Spotify. It's the 2026 edition, so I think there's some remixing or something that's happened here. But just even thinking about that, like the guitar lesson videos from REH in the 90s, and, this type of chorus sound where there was really big piano chords, even though it has a certain nostalgic feel, I still think he did so uniquely. You didn't hear a lot of this. A lot of guitar players, they want to have power chords everywhere, and they want to have the oomph during a ballad like this. And he just really reached for these really wide spanning, spread triads and things that you would hear in Eric Johnson's music. It's freaking awesome. Here's that second verse, so to speak. Feel it. It's more this chorus. Ooh, the drums there. A long time ago, listening to this, Shawn Rickman is the drummer, and we used to always call it me and Shawn Ash. A lot of Shawns here. We're just going to say that in this particular episode. But Shawn Ash and I would, we would listen to the song. We would talk together, and we would listen to the live, Powers of 10, album, and this version of the song is a little bit more close to the live version. It's got real drums on it versus I think that the original version of it was drum machine. And so, listening to this, we used to say crispy Shawn Rickman because he was so tight. He would do these little rolls, and he would just always hit the cymbals super crisp, very tight, had a lot of impact, but the way he hit, it's like the cymbals were always very short. They didn't splash super long and crescendo for a long time. It was like a very quick hit. But he had that power, so it was a very unique sound. It was like power and crispness at once. And, that second chorus, you can already feel it picking up in the drums. And through that second verse, he just kind of almost has that dual layer guitar sound that I feel like only Shawn Lane can really get when he layers two guitars because his guitar sound is so clean. He was... I think by this point, he's using a Strat on the recording of this album and a Vigier. And between those two, I think even at this point, he might have been using that Jackson that he had, but he was using really low output pickups, and it was a 24/3/4 scale on the frick. I don't even think it's Jackson. It's a Charvel. It's a 2 pickup, and he had a really short scale neck, and that allowed him to get this certain the certain sustain, a certain mid output. I mean, you hear that. I mean, how many guitar players are brave enough to play something like that now? And it's not because he couldn't have played something harder. Shawn Lane could have played All of Us Into the Dirt. The dude was just doing stuff that was like just absolutely redonkulous. He was playing saxophone lines on guitar, and he was converting things that he was playing piano onto guitar. So I don't think his worry was that he couldn't play something super crazy there. It's just that restraint and the tribute to the song itself, the tribute to the melody. And that's one of those things that I think a lot of players will put in the background now in order just to shred more. And it's frickin' sad, dude, because, again, you guys heard Breathe a Life last week. And one of the big things I always tried to do was, and again, this is not me trying to say I'm Shawn Lane. This is me trying to just portray the importance of having that level of restraint, even though, you can be really good at guitar. There are so many good guitar players, and a lot of them don't remember how to keep it simple. Everyone's like kind of on this thing where they're like, how can I make it be as crazy as I can every moment? And in maybe certain contexts that makes total sense. But in a song like this, you really got to keep that melody first. You got to keep that playing coming up. Sounds like there's an emergency out there. I leave my windows open during these episodes. I'm a little bit freer during the repeat offender. But anyway, let's continue with the song. All right, here's the song's about to take off. It's about to enter the next level. That phrase right there, oh my gosh, that right there, just going into that, and the crispy drums again. I mean, just really, let's get into that. We're gonna keep going. How much respect to the song is there in just that whole solo section right there? And there's more shredding that's about to happen. He's about to lead out with just a total rip. But just that, for those moments there, he's legitimately singing on guitar. It's like there are lines being sung to you. Do you ever do that? Like where you're like, you can almost kind of sing like lines to a musical part of a song. And I think this is something that's very specific to like, instrumental music in general. And, I particularly feel it with guitar instrumental music, but it can be any kind of instrumental music where you can kind of almost feel the instrument is speaking in the place of a person when it's done right. And just his respect and restraint there to keep it almost human voice, not only phrasing, but the range of the instrument. He's being sure not to go too high or too low. He's keeping it in a part of the guitar that, really does lie in the human vocal range. And he's about to take off right here and start, doing some rip. And let's take a listen to that. Let's take a listen to this ending here. Ooh, he's picking it up. You can feel how he's starting to now go past the human voice, and he's starting to enter like, the guitar levels. And I think, I don't know the direct quote, but on the Powers of 10 live, there's like a question on the front of the album. and I'm gonna put it in the comment like under me here because I'm just like trying to remember. But he's like, it's like if you could reach the levels, what would be possible? If we could reach the levels, what would be possible? And the levels was always like a thing with me, and it was kind of like a Seinfeld thing because the levels was always like, I don't want the levels, Jerry. Kramer says to Jerry in one of the episodes, and he's talking about like, the multiple levels of something. And then Jerry was kind of saying that like, in order to get what you want out of life, which was to Kramer, the reward, you had to accept the levels of something that comes with something. And, where would we be? Where would we go if we could, reach the levels? Where would you be? And the fact that Shawn Lane asked that was very touching to me because he was such a psychological person as well as being an incredible musician. He was always pushing the boundary and thinking about what else he could do. And unfortunately, he died at a very young age. I believe he died in his really, really, I think it was either late 30s or really early 40s. We're like 40 through 43 or something. It was very unfortunate. And he was living with a lot of disabilities at the time, even while, playing a lot of these songs live. He wasn't even always able to stand up anymore because of his weight and like some of the syndromes he was dealing with. But he never stopped at that point. He was kind of always asking the question further, where would we go? Where could we be if we really truly entered the levels? And wow, what a gorgeous ending there. Just playing on a fade out. Very, very, very 90s. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to pull up the regular, the Get You Back original edition, because this one, again, is the alternate. And I'm going to pull that up, and I'm just going to basically allow us to kind of hear the ending of the song so you guys can hear the difference in the soloing style that he did. Again, the one that we listened to, the alternate version, is a little bit more like the live one and the studio version mixed together, especially that last ripping line where you hear him playing those 4-note per string, type of phrases. That was really, he wasn't tapping that stuff either. That was like, legato and, some economy picking to get to that sound. And it was like a saxophone line. But I just wanted to show you kind of a little bit why the differences were there, because he had a lot of range of tone. There was like that shredding sound. And he also had this like almost like fuzz kind of like restrained neck pickup tone. And the neck pickup on the guitar is the pickup that's closer to the guitar neck itself, for those who don't play guitar, but it's kind of up there, and its sound is a little bit more muted. It's a little more restrained. So I just want to show that to you. Okay, here's the ending here. A little bit different though, huh? Almost sounds like a doubled guitar. You almost kind of get like a doubled guitar sound, and it's a little bit more soft sounding. Here we go. And you can hear how the ending's different here. He doesn't end up playing that saxophone phrase that you kind of heard in the first version. You end up hearing Shawn Lane kind of, go through like a double stop, almost more bluesy kind of riff, and then he kind of bounces out on that. But again, this is why Get You Back is one of my favorite songs. There's many variations of it. There's a lot of, guitar players who've covered this song over time. I've even covered it, and I want to do a new cover of it, but right now I'm working on the cover of another song called Cry For You by Andy Timmons at the moment. But there is something about learning a song of this caliber and being able to execute it correctly and have that sound just really be there. Because, this kind of 90s playing is just... it's just really something else. So I just want to share this song with you guys. Again, it's Shawn Lane, Get You Back. I really hope you guys enjoy it and go and check out the song. They have it on Spotify. They have it on Apple Music. They have it on YouTube. It's everywhere. The Powers of 10 album is going to be the original kind of sounding one. And you can go look for the 92 or 93 release. I think there's like a couple variations of that, release. And there's a 2026 remaster, it sounds like, which is what we listened to here today. And go find the live one. Where would we go? Where could we be if we reach the levels, And so just think about that. Think about yourself, and the things that you do when, we reach the levels of something, whether it's we're working on something that we're doing or we're listening to some type of music, how you uncover things as you listen to a song as a repeat offender. And again, for those of you who listen to songs more than once, that's what being a repeat offender is all about to me. Is about uncovering the levels. So I really hope you guys had a great time with this episode. I look forward to seeing you this week on Toned and Toneful for the second part of the Focus series. I'm just so excited to be with you guys. And once again, please have a great night, have a good time, and above all else, stay toned and toneful.